Welcome back. We are continuing our conversation with Kevin Freeman, the host of Economic War Room with Kevin Freeman. It is a terrific program that is broadcast on the Blaze television network, among other places. You can find out more about it at economicwarroom.com. He is also equipping all of us on the basis of the terrific television shows that he does with what he calls the battle plans that derive from the insights that he and his team have provided. It's a really indispensable tool, and I just can't commend you highly enough, Kevin, for all of that great work, as well as, of course, what you do with us each week. I did want to pick up on this point that we were just discussing. BlackRock and Larry Fink as prime movers, what the Chinese communists call old friends in Wall Street, among those that they've elite captured for sure. What we're seeing, Kevin, is, I think it's fair to say, a very deliberate effort on the part of Larry Fink to populate the Biden administration with some of his allies and former employees to assure that his will is, in fact, fulfilled. And in this regard, with the thrift savings plan, and I think also with this idea to walk back an executive order that President Biden himself initiated back in June of last year, we're seeing the power of these folks, specifically the power of, a fellow by the name of Brian Deese, who is these days the National Economic Council Director, and a fellow by the name of Wally Adeyemo, who is the Deputy Secretary of the Treasury. Jobs that give them direct involvement in decisions about, whether we will invest in China or not. Can you talk a little bit about this problem of the elite capture metastasizing in this fashion?
Yeah, well, first let me say sometimes the universe sends a clue. I don't know if Larry Fink's name were Benedict Arnold, it would be more appropriate. And I apologize to anyone who happens to have an unfortunate name, but the man has proven to be unrepentant and insidious in his efforts to support the Chinese economy and to support China. I don't know if you could find a better poster child for elite capture than this individual. And he knows something that those in politics know: personnel is policy. And if he can put his people into the government in these locations, then he will have control of the government. And this is at the same time that he's acknowledging that his index funds vote against the interest of shareholders. And so he's pretending like, well, we'll open up and let people vote their shares and so forth. What he's doing is a master plan. It is insidious. And it is all, I mean, I can't think of anything he's doing that's not pro China and anti America in some way as you look back and step back and interpret this. So I feel like this is, BlackRock is the world's largest asset manager. They have enormous support from our government, and they're using all of their means to direct policy. And as a result of that, I fear for America. I think this is the wrong decision. There's a good article by Vivek Ramaswamy in the Wall Street Journal that came out the last day or so that explains really how bad these index fund providers with Larry Fink at the top of them are for the economy and our nation.
Amen. We did this webinar, and I commend it to everybody. The video should be up about now. It is at presentdangerchina.org. And Larry Fink featured prominently in this discussion of elite capture. But Kevin, one of the things that, it seems to me is now really indisputable. Larry Fink is the most powerful man and least accountable man, and therefore, I would argue, the most dangerous man in America. And what you've just said, I think, bears that out. And it's obviously something that needs corrective action. And I hope that we will be able to finally find ways to hold him accountable and curb his appetite to enable our enemies. Let me turn
And
to
he's doing
another
it with our
challenge that we're
money.
facing. Well,
The
that's
worst
the
part is
that's
he's
the
using our
outrage.
money. Yes.
Yeah. And Kevin, is there any question in your mind as a accomplished chartered financial analyst and serious student of this matter that if we find ourselves at war with communist China, that people would have those funds essentially eviscerated by the Chinese Communist Party?
Oh, if we enter war with China, investments in Chinese companies will be essentially worthless. Just like we're in a proxy war with Russia now, and investments to Americans in Russian companies are basically worthless. And it would be much worse with China.
Indeed, it would. And I guess this is a question even in the absence of a Chinese conflict, where these so-called varied interest um, entities, variable interest entities, rather, are sort of a fraud that's being perpetrated on the American people that means that they don't actually own anything. So there will be absolutely no recourse. They've got some shares in a Cayman Island holding company or something. But again, these are the sorts of things that people like Larry Fink have perpetrated, and it seems to me absolutely scandalous, Kevin.
No, there's no question. And you're right. A variable interest entity is not ownership in a Chinese company. It's ownership in a
Mhm.
Cayman Islands entity that then has claims on potential ownership. But there's some question if that's even legal inside China itself, whether or not the Chinese government could just wipe that out with a stroke of a pen. And they absolutely would in the event of a conflict with the United States, with a direct
No question.
announced conflict.
No question. Kevin, we don't have time to do justice to this, but I did just want to introduce one of the things that you've been focusing very powerfully on: food insecurity. And in particular, Kevin, your investigation of the extent to which these spate of, I think it's some 30 different accidents in American food production facilities across the country. Um, are they in fact accidents as far as we can tell? And in any event, what are the implications for our food security in this country?
Well, if I were to shoot down the conspiracy theory, I'd say, oh, no, no, we have accidents all the time at these processing plants. What's concerning is that these tend to be the larger plants, and there tend to be fires or unusual things like planes flying into them. So that is worth keeping watch on, especially given the fact that we have these supply chain problems, that we have the Ukraine Russia situation, so they're not exporting wheat. We have fertilizer shortages. We have a whole confluence of events that suggest that our food supply is at risk. And something we talked about in the Economic War Room 2 years ago as a second order effect from COVID. After COVID goes through, we're going to see threats to our food supply. And we interviewed our mutual friend, Mitzi Purdue, and she shared exactly why that is. We paid farmers to plow a bunch of stuff under. Our food supply is at risk. There's no question. And now these confluence of unusual event at these factories and manufacturing facilities and farms, it really does come at a poor time at best. And maybe it is an opportunity for an enemy of the United States to target America and target our food supply.
Yeah. No accident, comrade, of course, is the term that the Chinese, certainly the Soviet communists, used to use. I think the Chinese do too. This is a subject to which we will return with you, Kevin Freeman, in the very near future. Thank you for your time today and for all the great work you do at the Economic War Room. Check it out, folks. It's ought to be part of your required viewing. Kevin Freeman's Economic War Room. God bless you, my friend. Keep up the good work, and we'll talk with you again next week. John Bowes is a young man who has been removed from the Air Force's F 16 pilot training program because he won't take the jab. We'll talk with him about what that means for him and others right after this.